Have you ever felt it? That cold, tightening grip in your chest just moments before a crucial presentation. The frantic, shallow breaths that precede a difficult conversation. Or the low, persistent hum of anxiety that accompanies the weight of expectation, be it from your career, your family, or most relentlessly, from yourself. This feeling, this pressure, is a universal human experience. It is the modern echo of an ancient survival instinct. Millennia ago, fear was our guardian. It was the jolt of adrenaline that sharpened our senses in the presence of a predator, the visceral command to fight or to flee. Fear kept us alive. But the world has changed. The predators we face today are no longer prowling in the grasslands, they lurk in our inboxes, in the volatility of the stock market, in the silent judgment of a crowded room, and most often, in the labyrinth of our own minds. The fear that once served as a shield has, for many, become a cage. It paralyzes our judgment, stifles our creativity, and convinces us to play small in a life that begs us to be bold. We fear failure, we fear rejection, we fear the unknown, and in doing so, we fear the very act of living fully. But what if there was another way? A path not of eliminating fear, but of understanding and mastering it? What if pressure was not a force to be endured, but a tool to be wielded? So, find a quiet space. Allow your breathing to slow. And join us as we embark on this journey to dismantle the architecture of fear and build in its place a citadel of tranquility, resilience, and courage. This is your guide to becoming fearless under pressure. This is the Stoic way. Section 1, The Fortress of Calm, Mastering Your Inner Citadel. The first and most crucial step on the path to fearlessness is the cultivation of inner calm. In the Stoic tradition, this is not a passive state of bliss, but an active, disciplined, and formidable strength. A calm mind is not a mind devoid of thought or emotion, it is a mind that is not tyrannized by them. It is the deep, still water beneath the turbulent surface waves. When the world outside is in chaos, the Stoic returns to their inner citadel, a fortress of reason and tranquility that no external force can breach. But how do we build this fortress in a world that relentlessly bombards us with stimuli designed to provoke, distract, and agitate? The Stoics offer us a clear blueprint, beginning with the most empowering principle in their entire arsenal. The dichotomy of control, your first line of defense. Epictetus, a man who endured the brutalities of slavery to become one of history's most influential thinkers, taught a lesson of liberating simplicity. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are body, property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. This is the famous dichotomy of control. It is not merely an interesting idea, it is the fundamental operating system for a Stoic mind. The vast majority of human anxiety, frustration, and fear stems from a simple, tragic error, attempting to control what we cannot, while neglecting what we can. Consider the pressure of a high-stakes business negotiation. You cannot control your counterpart's mood, their hidden agenda, or their final decision. You cannot control the market fluctuations that might render your proposal obsolete tomorrow. Wasting mental and emotional energy on these variables is, in the Stoic view, a form of self-inflicted suffering. It is like trying to command the tides. What, then, is within your control? Your preparation. The clarity of your proposal. The integrity of your words. The questions you choose to ask. And most importantly, your response if the negotiation fails. You can choose to see it as a catastrophic failure, or you can choose to see it as a valuable lesson in strategy and human nature. One path leads to despair, the other to wisdom. The external event is the same, the internal response is worlds apart. Think of a master chess player. They cannot control their opponent's moves. To lament a brilliant, unexpected move from the other side is futile. Instead, the master remains calm, studies the new configuration of the board, and focuses entirely on their own best possible response. Their power lies not in controlling the entire game, but in mastering their own domain, one move at a time. This same principle applies to the emergency room doctor facing a chaotic influx of patients. They cannot control the severity of the injuries or the number of people flooding through the doors. Panic is a useless and dangerous response. Instead, they focus with laser-like precision on what is within their power, their training, their protocol, their steady hands, and their clear, calm instructions to the medical team. Their calmness becomes a stabilizing force, bringing order to chaos not by changing the external situation, but by mastering their internal one. Practicing the dichotomy of control begins the moment you wake up. As you contemplate the day ahead, mentally sort your anticipated challenges into two columns. Traffic jam. Uncontrollable. Your decision to leave 15 minutes earlier or listen to an educational podcast during the delay. Controllable. A critical comment from a colleague. Uncontrollable. Your choice to consider the feedback objectively or to take it as a personal attack. Controllable. By performing this mental triage, you cease to be a passive victim of circumstance. You become an active agent, conserving your precious energy for the battlefield where it actually matters, the landscape of your own mind. The power of the pause, creating space for wisdom. While the dichotomy of control provides the map, there is a specific tool that allows you to navigate it in real time. It is perhaps the simplest yet most transformative technique for maintaining calm under pressure, the pause. Neuroscience reveals that when we perceive a threat, be it a harsh email or a sudden accusation, our brain's amygdala, the ancient center of emotion and survival, can trigger an immediate fight or flight response. This amygdala hijack floods our system with stress hormones, shuts down our rational prefrontal cortex, and primes us for an impulsive, emotional reaction. It is the reason we send the angry email we later regret, or lash out with words that can never be unsaid. The Stoics, without the benefit of fMRI scanners, understood this dynamic intuitively. They knew that in the space between stimulus and response lies our freedom. The pause is the conscious creation of that space. When pressure mounts, when you feel the heat of anger or the cold grip of fear begin to rise, do one thing, nothing. Simply pause. Take one deep, slow breath. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. In that brief interval, something miraculous happens. You give your prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, logic, and self-control, a chance to come back online. You interrupt the primal reflex and create an opportunity to choose your response. Imagine you are in a debate and your opponent makes a personal attack, designed to rattle you. The instinctive reaction is to become defensive, to attack back, to let your face flush with anger. But instead, you pause. You hold their gaze, your expression calm and unreadable. You take that single, conscious breath. The entire dynamic of the room shifts. Your silence is not weakness, it is a display of immense control. Your opponent expected a reaction, and by denying it to them, you have seized control of the emotional tenor of the situation. When you finally speak, your words will not be born of wounded pride, but of clear, strategic thought. Practice the pause in low-stakes situations. When your phone buzzes, pause before looking at it. Before answering a non-urgent email, pause. Before reacting to a frustrating news headline, pause. By training this mental muscle in moments of calm, you build the strength to use it in moments of chaos. The pause is your circuit breaker, your emergency brake, your gateway from reactivity to responsiveness. It is the practical application of building your inner citadel, one breath at a time. The view from above, gaining a cosmic perspective. The final layer in the construction of your fortress of calm is a profound Stoic meditation known as the view from above. When we are in the grip of pressure, our world shrinks. The problem at hand becomes all-consuming, magnified to epic proportions. Our anxieties, our fears, our professional and personal dramas seem like the most important events in the universe. The view from above is the antidote to this myopic perspective. Marcus Aurelius practiced this regularly, instructing himself to look down from above on the countless herds of men and their countless rituals, and their varied voyaging in storm and calm, and the differences in their lives as they are born, live together, and die. Begin this meditation by visualizing yourself rising up from your current position. See the room you are in, then the building, the street, the city. Continue to ascend, watching your country become a patch of color on the spinning globe. Rise further still, past the moon, past the planets, until the entire solar system is a tiny speck in the swirling expanse of the Milky Way galaxy, which itself is but one of billions of galaxies in the unimaginable vastness of space. From this cosmic vantage point, now look back at that tiny, insignificant planet. Try to locate your continent, your city, yourself. And now, consider the problem that was consuming you just moments ago. That stressful meeting, that hurtful comment, that financial worry. From this perspective, how significant is it really? Then, add the dimension of time. Contemplate the endless river of history that flowed before you were born, the rise and fall of empires, the coming and going of generations. Then look forward into the abyss of future time, long after you and everyone you know has turned to dust. The purpose of this exercise is not to trivialize your problems or to encourage apathy. It is to place them in their proper context. It is to break the spell of urgency and self-importance that pressure casts upon us. It recalibrates our perspective, reminding us of our shared humanity and the ephemeral nature of our struggles. When you return from the view from above, the pressure has not vanished, but its power over you has diminished. You return to the situation with a newfound sense of proportion, a deeper calm, and a quiet wisdom. You realize that this moment of pressure is just that, a moment. It is a single, fleeting scene in the grand, cosmic drama. And knowing this, you can face it not with frantic anxiety, but with the dignified composure of one who has seen the bigger picture. By mastering the dichotomy of control, practicing the power of the pause, and gaining perspective through the view from above, you lay the unshakable foundations of your inner citadel. You build a fortress of calm that will serve as your base of operations for every other challenge life throws your way. For it is only from a place of tranquility that a truly strategic and fearless mind can emerge. Section 2, The Strategist's Mind, Wielding Intelligence Under Fire. Once the foundation of inner calm is established, the Stoic can move to the next level of mastery, thinking with strategic clarity in the heart of the storm. When others are panicking, when emotions are running high and judgment is clouded, the trained Stoic mind becomes a precision instrument. This is not about being smarter in an academic sense, it is about a practical, tactical wisdom that allows one to navigate complexity, anticipate challenges, and act with decisive purpose. Fearlessness, in this context, is a byproduct of superior preparation and a more insightful way of seeing the world. Premeditatio malorum, the art of negative visualization. One of the most counterintuitive yet powerful Stoic strategies is the practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity. To a modern ear, this might sound like pessimism, a morbid fascination with what could go wrong. But for the Stoics, it was the ultimate form of mental preparedness, an inoculation against the shock and despair that so often accompany unexpected misfortune. As Seneca advised, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. We should project our thoughts ahead of us at every turn and have in mind every possible eventuality instead of only the usual course of events. Instead of hoping for the best, the Stoic prepares for the worst. Before an important journey, they don't just imagine a smooth flight, they contemplate a delay, a lost bag, or a cancellation. Before a major product launch, they don't just fantasize about success, they consider a server crash, a negative review, or a competitor's surprise announcement. The goal is not to dwell in anxiety, but to do two things. First, to strip these potential events of their emotional power. By facing them in our imagination, we blunt the edge of their shock. If the worst happens, our mind has already been there. We are not thrown into a state of panic because the event is no longer unthinkable. Second, it prompts us to take practical, preventative action. Contemplating a lost bag encourages you to pack essentials in your carry-on. Visualizing a negative review prompts you to double-check your work and prepare thoughtful responses. This practice is the ancient precursor to what modern psychologists call gradual exposure therapy, or what the military calls a pre-mortem. You are systematically desensitizing yourself to fear and turning potential panic into a proactive plan. The story of Eleanor Roosevelt's transformation from a shy, timid child into a formidable public figure is a testament to this principle. She famously said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot do." She did not overcome her fear of public speaking by avoiding it, but by facing it in incrementally larger doses, preparing her mind and spirit for each successive challenge. The wisdom of prudence, avoiding unnecessary battles. A strategic mind understands that not every challenge must be met with direct confrontation. Sometimes, the most intelligent move is a deliberate and controlled silence. The Stoic virtue of prudence, or practical wisdom, involves knowing what to engage with and what to ignore. In a world that often mistakes loudness for strength, the ability to choose your battles is a rare and powerful skill. When faced with pressure, especially in the form of interpersonal conflict, the untrained mind feels an immediate urge to defend, to argue, to prove its point. But the Stoic strategist asks a different set of questions: is this battle necessary? Does engaging serve my larger purpose? Or is it merely a distraction, an ego-driven skirmish that will drain my resources? Abraham Lincoln, a leader who faced unimaginable pressure during the American Civil War, was a master of this art. He famously assembled a team of rivals, filling his cabinet with powerful men who had previously been his political enemies. He endured constant criticism, backstabbing, and disrespect from them. A lesser leader would have reacted with anger, firing them or engaging in petty power struggles. Lincoln, however, chose his battles with immense care. He absorbed the insults and ignored the provocations, keeping his focus squarely on the one goal that mattered: preserving the Union. His silence in the face of personal attacks was not weakness, it was the ultimate strategic strength. He refused to be distracted from his primary mission. In your own life, practice this selective engagement. When you receive a provocative email, do not fire back an immediate reply. Let it sit. Ask yourself if a response is truly required. Often, the fire of a conflict dies out when it is not given the fuel of a reaction. When someone baits you into a pointless argument on social media, the strongest move is not to win the debate, but to refuse to play the game. You conserve your mental energy for the endeavors that truly matter. This is not avoidance, it is the strategic allocation of your most precious resource, your attention. The art of persuasion through empathy and logic. Finally, the strategic mind excels at influencing outcomes not through force, but through persuasion. Stoicism emphasizes that humans are rational and social creatures. To persuade others, especially under pressure, one must appeal to both their logic and their sense of shared humanity. This begins with a commitment to understanding the other person's perspective. Empathy, in a Stoic context, is not about agreeing with someone or feeling their emotions, it is about understanding their worldview, their motivations, their fears. As Epictetus taught, every person acts according to what they believe is right. To influence them, you must first understand why they believe what they do. When you are in a negotiation or trying to resolve a conflict, resist the urge to start with your own arguments. Instead, start by asking questions. Can you help me understand your primary concerns here? What does a successful outcome look like from your perspective? By genuinely seeking to understand, you disarm their defensiveness and gather crucial intelligence. Once you understand their position, you can frame your own proposal in a way that aligns with their interests. This is the core of effective persuasion. It is not about tricking someone, but about finding the common ground. Lincoln's masterful framing of the Emancipation Proclamation is a prime example. To the abolitionists, he presented it as a moral imperative. To the pragmatists and military leaders, he framed it as a strategic masterstroke that would cripple the Confederacy's labor force and bolster the Union's cause. He appealed to different motivations, but aligned them all toward a single, decisive action. By developing a mind that is mentally prepared through negative visualization, prudent in choosing its battles, and skilled in the art of empathetic persuasion, you move beyond mere calmness. You become a strategist, capable of not just weathering the storm of pressure, but of navigating it with intelligence, purpose, and grace. Section 3, The Alchemist's Secret, Transmuting Adversity into Advantage. To be calm and strategic under pressure is a remarkable achievement. But the deepest level of Stoic mastery involves something even more profound, the ability to not just endure adversity, but to embrace it, to use its raw energy to fuel your growth and transform it into a source of strength. This is the work of a mental alchemist, one who can take the lead of suffering and transmute it into the gold of wisdom and opportunity. This is where the famous Stoic mantra, "The obstacle is the way," comes to life. Amor fati, the art of loving your fate. The concept of amor fati, a phrase popularized by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche but deeply rooted in Stoic thought, translates to, a love of one's fate. This is perhaps the most challenging and radical of all Stoic practices. It goes beyond mere acceptance of what happens. It is an active, enthusiastic embrace of every moment of your life, the triumphs and the tragedies, the joys and the pains, as not just necessary, but desirable. The Stoics believed in a rational universe, a logos that ordered all things. From this perspective, every event that occurs, no matter how painful it may seem to us, is a necessary part of a larger, perfect whole. To wish for things to be different is to wish for the universe to be imperfect. It is an act of cosmic arrogance. Amor fati is the antidote. It is the conscious decision to say yes to life, exactly as it is. When you are faced with a setback, a lost job, a failed project, a personal betrayal, the typical response is resistance, anger, and grief. Amor fati invites a different response, good. This too is a part of my path. This event, this pain, contains a lesson I am meant to learn, a strength I am meant to develop. I will not just tolerate it, I will love it as an essential ingredient in the person I am becoming. The story of J.K. Rowling is a modern parable of amor fati. Before the global success of Harry Potter, she was, in her own words, the biggest failure I knew. She was jobless, a single parent, and living in poverty. She could have been crushed by her circumstances. Instead, she later described her failure as a gift. It stripped away the non-essential, forced her to focus on the one thing that mattered, her writing, and gave her a resilience she would never have otherwise known. She didn't just endure her failure, she used its energy to create one of the world's most beloved stories. She embraced the obstacle and it became her way. Practicing amor fati means that when pressure mounts, you reframe the narrative. The immense workload is not a burden, it is an opportunity to forge an unbreakable work ethic. The harsh critic is not an enemy, they are a free consultant pointing out your weaknesses. The painful breakup is not an ending, it is a necessary clearing of the path for a more authentic future. By loving your fate, you rob adversity of its ability to make you a victim. You become an active co-creator with destiny itself. The obstacle is the way, finding the hidden path. Flowing directly from amor fati is the practical strategy of treating every obstacle as a stepping stone. Marcus Aurelius gave this concept its most eloquent expression: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A fire blocking your path. You can use it to signal for help. A political rival opposing your bill. You can use their opposition to sharpen your arguments and rally your allies. For the Stoic, the obstacle is not something to be removed so that the path can be cleared. The obstacle is the path. Consider the young innovator Boyan Slat, who was horrified by the vast amount of plastic pollution in the oceans. Many saw this as an insurmountable problem, a tragedy to be lamented. Slat saw it as an opportunity. The obstacle, the plastic itself, became the key to the solution. He designed a system to harness ocean currents to collect the plastic, and then developed a plan to recycle that plastic into sustainable products, creating a self-funding mechanism for the cleanup. The problem contained its own solution. He didn't fight the obstacle, he leaned into it. In your own life, whenever you face a barrier, train your mind to ask this transformative question: how can I use this? Feeling overwhelmed by a lack of resources? How can this scarcity force me to become more creative and resourceful? This is the principle that built Airbnb, using cereal boxes to fund their startup when cash ran out. Facing a public failure? How can I use this experience to teach others about resilience and humility? Stuck with a difficult colleague? How can this person be a training ground for developing superhuman patience and communication skills? This mindset shift is the essence of Stoic alchemy. It transforms pressure from a destructive force into a creative one. It ensures that no experience is ever wasted. Every setback, every challenge, every moment of adversity becomes raw material for your growth. The common good as your North Star. Finally, the Stoic alchemist is guided by a powerful North Star, the common good. Stoic philosophy is not a self-centered pursuit of personal tranquility. It is grounded in the concept of sympathia, the profound recognition that all of humanity is interconnected, that we are all limbs of a single body. When pressure becomes intense and our personal struggles feel overwhelming, one of the most effective ways to regain perspective and purpose is to shift our focus from me to we. How can my struggle serve others? How can this pressure I am under be used to contribute to the common good? This shift is not merely altruistic, it is strategically sound. When you focus on helping others, your own problems tend to shrink in significance. More importantly, you build networks of goodwill and create a sense of shared purpose that is itself a powerful buffer against stress. During the 2008 financial crisis, while many companies laid off workers to protect their bottom line, some leaders chose a different path, implementing shared pay cuts to keep everyone employed. This act of focusing on the collective good fostered immense loyalty and resilience, allowing those companies to bounce back faster when the economy recovered. Nelson Mandela, after 27 years of brutal imprisonment, could have emerged seeking revenge. The pressure on him was immense. Instead, he focused on the common good of South Africa. His goal was not personal vindication, but national reconciliation. By turning his immense personal suffering into a vehicle for healing an entire nation, he demonstrated the ultimate form of Stoic alchemy. By loving your fate, treating every obstacle as the way, and orienting your actions toward the common good, you complete the transformation from one who fears pressure to one who wields it as a tool for growth. You become a true mental alchemist, capable of finding opportunity in the darkest of circumstances. Section 4, The Radiance of Virtue, Cultivating Unshakable Confidence. The final destination on our journey to fearlessness is the cultivation of a confidence that is not loud, brittle, or dependent on external validation, but quiet, resilient, and radiant. In the Stoic worldview, this true confidence is not something you hack or fake. It is the natural byproduct of a life lived with virtue and integrity. Charisma, in this sense, is not a set of techniques for winning friends and influencing people. It is the quiet, magnetic gravity of a person who is at peace with themselves because they are living in accordance with their deepest principles. Confidence as a byproduct of competence and character. Modern self-help often promotes a version of confidence based on affirmations and positive thinking. The Stoics would find this approach dangerously hollow. Chanting, "I am confident," in the mirror is useless if your actions betray a lack of discipline and preparation. Stoic confidence is earned. It is forged in the daily practice of mastering your craft and, more importantly, mastering yourself. The confidence of a skilled artisan comes from thousands of hours of deliberate practice. The confidence of a scholar comes from years of rigorous study. The confidence of a Stoic comes from the daily, consistent practice of the virtues. Wisdom, the ability to see the world clearly and navigate life's complexities with good judgment. Justice, the commitment to treating others with fairness and contributing to the common good. Courage, the strength to face fear and do what is right, even when it is difficult. Temperance, the discipline to control one's desires and act with moderation and self-control. When you dedicate yourself to these practices, confidence ceases to be a goal and becomes an inevitable outcome. You become confident not because you believe you are perfect, but because you trust your ability to handle imperfection. You trust that you have the wisdom to navigate challenges, the courage to face setbacks, the justice to act rightly, and the temperance to control your emotional responses. This is a confidence rooted in character, not in circumstance, and therefore, it cannot be easily shaken. Charisma from authenticity and integrity. The most charismatic people are often not the loudest or most flamboyant. They possess a quiet presence that commands attention and inspires trust. Think of a swan gliding across a lake. On the surface, it is all grace, poise, and effortless calm. Beneath the surface, its powerful legs are paddling with strength and intention. This is the nature of Stoic charisma. It is the outward expression of a well-ordered inner world. It emanates from a person who does not need to perform, because they are authentically themselves. Their words align with their actions. Their principles are unwavering. This integrity creates a powerful, magnetic field. People are drawn to it because it is so rare. In a world of shifting personas and curated images, a person of true integrity is a rock of stability. This charisma is not afraid of vulnerability. True strength is not the absence of weakness, but the honest acknowledgement of it. When a leader can admit, "I used to struggle with this, but here is how I learned to overcome it," they do not appear weak. They appear human and relatable. Their strength becomes more inspiring because it is attainable. This kind of vulnerability, rooted in a foundation of resilience, is profoundly charismatic. It creates connection and trust, drawing people in far more effectively than any display of feigned invincibility. Memento mori, the ultimate source of courage. Finally, the ultimate source of Stoic fearlessness and unshakable confidence is the regular practice of memento mori, remembering that you will die. At first glance, this seems morbid. But for the Stoics, it was the most life-affirming practice of all. Contemplating our own mortality does something profound: it clarifies our priorities. The trivial fears that dominate our daily lives, the fear of embarrassment, of social judgment, of professional failure, wither into insignificance in the face of our ultimate finitude. What is a negative comment from a stranger compared to the fact that our time here is fleeting and precious? What is the fear of asking for a raise compared to the reality that one day, both you and your boss will be gone? Memento mori is the great liberator. It frees us from the tyranny of the ego and the anxieties of social pressure. It urges us to stop wasting our limited time on things that do not matter and to act with courage on the things that do. It is the fuel for authenticity. Knowing that life is short, why would you pretend to be someone you're not? Why would you silence your own voice to please others? When you live with an awareness of death, you become truly fearless. Not because you are reckless, but because your fears are properly calibrated. You fear a life of regret more than you fear a moment of discomfort. You fear a wasted life more than you fear a failed attempt. This perspective imbues you with a quiet, dignified courage that is the bedrock of true confidence. You walk through life with the calm assurance of someone who has made peace with the ultimate pressure, and in doing so, has been liberated from all the lesser ones. Conclusion: the unconquerable soul. We have journeyed together through the core tenets of Stoic fearlessness. We began by constructing our inner citadel, a fortress of calm built upon the foundations of the dichotomy of control, the power of the pause, and the perspective of the view from above. From this place of tranquility, we learned to wield the mind of a strategist, preparing for adversity, choosing our battles with wisdom, and persuading with empathy. We then explored the alchemy of the soul, discovering how to transmute the leaden weight of obstacles into the gold of opportunity through the love of our fate, amor fati. And finally, we have seen that true, unshakable confidence is not a prize to be won, but the radiant byproduct of a life dedicated to virtue, integrity, and a courageous awareness of our own mortality. The path of the Stoic is not an easy one. It does not promise a life free from pain, pressure, or hardship. On the contrary, it promises that you will have the strength to meet these challenges head-on. It offers not a shield from fate, but a sword of resilience to carve your own path through it. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear. It is the radical acceptance that fear is just another sensation, another piece of data, and it does not have to be the pilot of your soul. You are the pilot. Your reason, your principles, your commitment to virtue, that is what sits at the helm. The world will continue to apply pressure. That is its nature. But you now possess the tools to transform that pressure not into a force that crushes you, but into a force that refines you, like the immense geological pressure that turns simple carbon into a flawless diamond. Begin today. Start small. Choose one principle from our journey and practice it with intention. When pressure arises, pause and breathe. When an obstacle appears, ask how it can serve you. When fear whispers in your ear, remind it of your mortality and its own insignificance. Build your inner citadel, brick by disciplined brick, thought by virtuous thought. In doing so, you will cultivate what the Stoics called an unconquerable soul, a soul that is free, resilient, and fearless, not because it is untouched by the world, but because it has mastered itself. Call to action. If this exploration of Stoic fearlessness has resonated with you and provided you with a new lens through which to view the pressures of your own life, we invite you to join our community. Subscribe to BAudio for more deep dives into the practical wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Like this video to help its message reach others who may be searching for strength in difficult times. And most importantly, leave a comment below. Tell us, what is the one Stoic principle you will start practicing today to become more fearless under pressure? Your journey is unique, but the path of wisdom is one we can walk together. Thank you for your time and your attention. Live with Virtue.